So as states revolt against that anti-terror center, is this really playing politics with terrorism, or is this really to do with the fundamental principles of federalism? Joining us on the program tonight, we have senior Congress leader and MP in the Rajya Sabha, Mr. Manishankar Iyer. We have Chandan Mitra, Rajya Sabha MP from the BJP, also the MD and editor of The Pioneer. Pinaki Mishra from the BJD, who is also a senior lawyer, so he can perhaps explain to us in law about how the centre can do this. We have former diplomat Mr. K.C. Singh, who's dealt with counter-terrorism extensively in the Ministry of External Affairs, and Mr. Vinod Sharma, the political editor of the Hindustan Times. Mr. Chandan Mitra, let me ask you and Mr. Pinaki Mishra first. What is your principal objection to this National Counter-Terrorism Centre? Is it the sweeping powers for search and arrest that are your main objections, or something more?
Well, you know, when the NIA and the NCTC were conceived, it was assumed that the centre would then make an effort, serious and genuine effort, to coordinate the information and everything concerned about terrorism and bring everything under a common kind of information platform. Now, instead, what they've done, they have created a separate institution with sweeping powers of searching, arresting, collecting of documents from states whenever there is a purported matter of terrorism, and all this will be done by a kind of separate police force of the IB, which will work under the direction of the NCTC. Now, this was never in the originally conceived idea. Now, this means that the centre can at any given point of time kind of walk into various states, do whatever it wants to do and get back without informing the state, leave alone consulting. Now, this is a serious infringement of the rights of the states and completely flies in the face of the constitutional provisions. So I think this is the most important point, and it's fundamentally altering the federal structure.
But Mr. Mishra, the centre's argument has been that this is not a normal law and order situation we're talking about. We're talking about dealing with terrorism, which is not a problem that individual states have to take care of. It's a national problem, and so it requires a different and national approach.
I think it's the manner in which
I don't think it is. You see, we have dealt with or faced terrorism.
One second, Mr. Mitra. I'll just come to
Mitra for Mishra.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, it's the manner in which this has been sought to be introduced. By notification, it's a disingenuous method through the back door. Innocuous provision of the the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act is sought to be invoked. This should really be a substantive piece of legislation which should have been brought about after debate in Parliament, after consultation. What are the states saying? What has my Chief Minister, Mr. Naveen Patnaik, said? He is basically, his fundamental problem is that you have tried to introduce this by notification slyly. Suddenly, out of the blue, you're presented with a fait accompli that on the 1st of March, this will now come into operation, whereby the states will be given a complete go-by to. You can enter upon the territory of a state, take over an investigation, power of seizure, power of arrest, power of everything, and the state government is bypassed. And who is it to be done by? By an additional director level officer of the IB. I have to, if you don't mind, quote the Hindu today. And it's extraordinary. I must quote the Hindu specifically, saying in September 1970, J. Edgar Hoover wrote a secret memo which pithily explained the difference between investigators and spies. The purpose of counterintelligence action, it stated, is to disrupt, and it is immaterial whether facts exist to substantiate the charge. So, you don't give...
So, you feel this would be a tool in the hands of the centre?
Absolutely.
To act against states rather than to fight terror?
To have the Intelligence Bureau, whose political implications we are all well aware of, to do this kind of thing. So, basically what you're doing is what has been happening with the NIA, and I don't hold a brief for anybody. Saffron terror somewhere, Sikh terror somewhere. The central government can
you think they follow a political agenda? Mr. Manishankar Iyer, the fundamental criticism of the government, though, while as it tries to have a comprehensive policy about fighting terrorism, is this lack of consultation, because it's not just the opposition which is criticizing the government today for not being consulted on this. It is again your own allies, and that includes not just Mamata Banerjee, who's upset about many things, but even the National Conference and the DMK have hinted at the same. Mr. Iyer.
I do believe that there should have been consultation with the states, but in full recognition of the fact that the kind of terrorism which has overtaken our country in recent years was simply not envisaged even when earlier laws and constitutional arrangements were made. You're quite right when you said that terrorism is a national problem and it has to be tackled at a national level, and there are always going to be interstate ramifications with regard to investigating and bringing to book those who are responsible for these heinous acts. But I think the political reality of our country is such today that there are many non-Congress governments, there are many governments in the states which do not hold the same opinions or views as the center, and therefore a larger measure of consultation among them, which could have perhaps been done earlier, can even now be done and these matters resolved, because I think ultimately there is a national will that we must fight terrorism as a national problem.
NDTV's cricket app, Android and iPhone, fastest scorecard, special analysis and much more. Download free. ndtv.com/apps.